What's up, everybody? Doug Lane here, Fast Lane Car Care. We got our very first 2025 Toyota Camry. Now, at first glance, they really don't look very much different than the old ones. However, these port windows are different, and beyond that, I don't really know 100%. I didn't take the time to overlay them and see which was which. Yeah, let's get started. This one's getting a full windshield, full car with a strip, all ceramic. So let's get to it. All, of course, plotter cut. So Camrys are not as difficult as a lot of people think they are. This curve right here can really mess with you if you're just starting out, but I promise it's really not that bad. It's one of those cars that's tougher than it looks. So with the ceramic films, they take more heat. They also, because they take more heat, they kind of shrink a little bit after you move the heat. Check it out. You can see the film kind of moving. It means it's still doing its thing. And that's why I don't hard card it. If you hard card it while it's still hot, it smears the adhesive, it distorts it, and then that never goes away. I've mentioned it on other videos before, but you know, most people just skip, jump, hop through here, and they miss out on half the valuable information, if not more. But so we'll just keep repeating it on every video. And yeah, so give it a minute to cool. That's why we hard card. You know, I heat the top, then I heat the bottom, then I hard card, and then just kind of switch back and forth as needed. Look at that, you can see I didn't touch anything. I'll go ahead and touch that right there, even though it's beyond our little line. It was beyond our plotter line. So it really probably didn't have to, but we gonna. It is 100% possible to do what I call it no-touch shrinking. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but basically you can heat the whole thing and get it to lay down, and then you just cart it down once, like basically like we did back there. You can do the whole windshield and back glass like that. Takes a little practice, but I'm just going to kind of lift the film up because I got some moisture. So it's not letting the dry shrink prep do its thing. So I just want to lift it up and kind of reset it. Now the edges are the tricky part, because obviously you don't want to shrink your film sideways. That, you know, doesn't work. But so just kind of keep your fingers running up there where they need to be. And voila. Now, you got to make a choice. You can let it sit and do nothing, just kind of let it cool, which is what we're going to do, because I don't want to drag my cord back and forth. But, there you go, guys. There's one side done. Just get that corner just a little bit more. Everything looks good. Now we can come over to this side. Repeat the exact same steps. Now it is important if you do it like I just did, you want to be careful you don't over shrink the film. Otherwise you're causing yourself more hassle. But, you know, practice is how you get better. Learning what not to do is kind of how you figure out what to do, especially in this industry. Whoa, okay, buddy. Telling you, man, I don't know what it is about cars, but spiders absolutely love them. And down here, push our film. I've had people ask before on videos and be like, man, yeah, how'd you get so good at heat shrinking? I had to burn a lot of film. I'll tell you what, man, when I first started, it was absolutely not a rare occurrence for my then girlfriend, now my wife, to come out here and, man, I'd be working on a car, and I just have wads of back glass patterns, man, where I'd crease it or I'd burn it, pinch it, something. And she'd come out, hear me cussing up a storm or whatever, and she'd be like, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah. This film's just being a pain, you know. Had to do a lot of that, man. That's why I do these videos. I want to teach people that are interested in learning. I want to teach you guys how to do this without having to burn through as much money as I did trying to figure it out. So I'll show you guys how to pull sweeps on these. I don't think I'm gonna take these quarter windows out. Long-time followers of the channel know that I usually do. I just don't think I'm going to today. We'll talk about those when we get to them, but one thing that I kind of don't really care for about plotting out windshields and back glasses is you use your dry shrink prep, but then you always end up getting a little bit of moisture on the back side of the film when you're on the peel board, cutting, you know, the majority, the bulk off. You end up with a little bit of moisture, and then, you know, your film tries to stick in certain spots, and that can really mess you up if you're new. So, I mean, if you're new, I highly doubt you're gonna have a plotter, but if you do, just beware. You may want to learn how to hand cut them first. See how that film's just collapsing on itself? That's what we like to see. Now, honestly, man, I could do like 60% of the windshield in one spot. That's generally what I try to do. If you're starting out, you know, probably just try to shoot for half and half. Probably be the easiest for you. But just know it can be done. Now this is a little bit tricky. I don't know if you can see, but we got our line here, and we've got the extra bit of our pattern. It's laying up on this plastic trim piece, and so that's lifting our film, and it's making it want to go sideways. Well, obviously we can't shrink sideways, so we need to just very, very carefully kind of lay that down and distribute it in a way that our extra film goes vertically, our finger goes vertically. That's why I'm using my hard card, my suede blade there, to kind of block the heat, help keep it from doing that. And now we're pretty much just going to shrink as usual. On the windshield, a lot of times I go a little bit slower and just less aggressive because it's, especially on ceramic, it's the window you're going to be looking out the most. So if you get that orange peel look, kind of like I was talking about, if you heat it up and push it down while it's still hot, it's going to get this distorted look to it. Looks not very good. You can tell on a back glass. I highly doubt anybody would ever notice it, except for maybe you as a tinner. But you know, windshield especially, usually the top bit is going to be have the most amount of shrink, so you're going to have the most likelihood of that happening. So just I like to err on the side of caution because I really only like doing windshields one time. Okay, so we got like a little pinch point here and here, and I'll show you what we're going to do. And that's more than likely there was some moisture there and kept it from sticking, so it kind of ran over itself. So I'll show you how to fix that. Basically, I just lift it up, but put a little bit of air underneath it. Again, just kind of be careful you don't over shrink it. We'll kick the heat gun off so you can hear me. And now we'll just come back over here, away from where we just heated up, and we'll just start working that film down. Just kind of leave that alone for a minute. Okay, boom. What we got? Yeah, we're definitely like room temperature now, so we can just go ahead and push that down. See, I'm just being gentle. I'm just pushing it down little by little. Kind of goes back to what I started saying earlier about how the windshield's got a little bit of moisture on it from the back of the film. Now this we can just go ahead and just heat and push down because it's going to be below our border. But let's say you did have a finger that was still up here, you just do the exact same thing. Just heat it up, let it sit, go do something else, and then come back and push it down. But like I said, since it's below our border, we'll just push it. Got a little bit of our dry shrink prep soap there. A little bit of moisture was wanting to hold that sideways. Let's see. And then, so I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little bit, it's wanting to, because of that line, it's wanting to pull a little bit of air up in there. I'm not too worried about it. You'll have that sometimes on plotted patterns. Nothing really to worry about, as long as they're not huge. Push that moisture there, or push that extra film over off that side so we can get it vertical. We'll shrink it on that side. Just kind of push this stuff up, get it straightened out where it wants to go. All right. Rinse and repeat. Okie dokie. So this corner's not going to lay perfectly flat because we have this trash up here hanging out. So don't worry too much about it. Now normally I'll just cut this I'll just kind of leave myself a little bit, like, I don't know, what's that, like a half an inch maybe around these here. But sometimes what that does is it makes it difficult to get your pattern perfectly lined up because there's just not as much rigidity there. So I opted to just leave it in this time. And what we can do, if we want to make sure this is good to go, set our heat gun down, grab our knife. All right, sorry about that. We had a local tenor reach out for a 911 call. He's having some difficulties with the back glass, but so to give him a little bit of advice. So we wet check this. We still need to weed that out. I'm just going to do it on the peel board because it's making an absolute fool out of me. Wet check is going to show us we got a little bit more tension we need to lay down, a little more film. But other than that, everything else looks good. Bottom looks good. Now we can go over and shrink the other side of our windshield. Back glass is looking good. Nothing popped up. Just lift this up. Blow some air under it. Kind of dries that film out, dries the glass. And repeat for the top. Okay. This side here is going to have a lot of material to shrink. That's okay. Just take our time with it. So you can tell the way this film is curved, it tells you where it wants to squeegee, where it wants you to go. So just be mindful of that. Alright, so what are you guys thinking? You thinking we do the windshield first? You thinking we do the back glass first? Let's see. Where's my blade at? Here it is. I'm thinking we're gonna try to do the windshield first because we gotta do a strip, and if we gotta do a strip, we might as well let the windshield sit while we do the rest of the car. However, this little issue with it not wanting to weed may force us to do the rest of the car, so that way we have unrestricted access to the peel board. We'll see. So then sometimes in situations like that, I like to come right up here. And this isn't where my lines connect, but that's where it's going to be the easiest to grab a hold of this film, theoretically, and peel it. However, it is not wanting to peel. There we go. Yeah, we're more than likely gonna have to do some trimming. So, let's see. Oh, she gonna go around good on this side. That's how it's supposed to go. It's not leaving anything behind, no snags. No dramas, mate, no dramas. But for whatever reason, over here it's a different story. Now I did have a couple of issues on some of the roll-ups where it didn't want to, like mainly in just a couple spots, so I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Plotter problems, am I right? Whoa. Blades only cut a couple of cars. We switched that out. The other one was, it's still cut fine, but yeah, you know me. Always trying to find something better. Here's what I'm guessing, because it's essentially all the way across here. We probably have just a crappy spot in our cut strip. All it takes is just a little scratch, or something along those lines, because mostly everywhere else is weeding okay. Just along that top edge. The bottom weeded out fine. So, I think in typical fashion, we will do the windshield last. And then that's not the end of the world, because that way if we need to cut any of the 5%, we'll have the roll already on there. So let's try this. Let's try to weed out our back glass. Now, this one's weeding just fine so far. That's what it should weed like, all the way around. Easy peasy. So I'll tell you one thing that did happen. I'll go show you. You didn't know you were going to get an education on plotters, did you? Okay. Let me get rid of this. Man, this GoPro makes you sweaty. So, got the cut strip here. Let's see if we can just gently flip these quarters up out of the way. Cut strip, masking tape. What had happened is this blue tape, when it gets really humid, it's raining outside and we're at 85% humidity inside. So I've noticed that this is the first time we've really had any rain since I've had this. We were literally in a super drought, and now we have a freaking hurricane coming through, and now it's super wet. But anyway, this blue tape gets humid, moist. It'll actually try to roll up, and I bet you it was rolling up, and so it was throwing this off, and that would make sense, because if we go and we look at our cut board with the windshield, look right along there, here's our front roller. So if this roller here has the film bunched up, out in here where it's cutting, could throw it off. I don't see any scratches or anything like that. If we want, we can add another roll, another strip of tape. I don't think we need to, because it seemed to be the back glass was fine. Anyway, that's that. Let's get back to work. Already got my towels in. I'll show you guys how to pull sweeps here in a few. So dude on the phone works for a local tint shop. He was like, hey man, I completely understand if you don't want to help me, but I'm having a strange problem. I'm like, I'm not that petty typically. So 24 Honda Civic, he was having issues with peanuts. I said, well, what are you prepping the inside of your window with? He said, just my baby shampoo and a squeegee. Well, there's your problem, my guy. There's your problem. Gotta get them defrosters clean. Oh yeah, no hydrophobic coatings in here. Now the only thing I don't like about Camrys, you guys that have followed me for a long time, I'm sure you guys probably have figured out, I love Toyotas, man. I like working on them, I drive them, and all that good stuff. Thoroughly enjoy. But the thing I don't like about them, the only thing really, is these headrests don't come off the back seats. They're built in, and that's problematic because I'm not a tall guy, but if I fold these seats down, it still gets my head up into the headliner, and I don't like it. Now who's calling? Let's see, what number is that? Oh, spam risk. Doesn't matter. Okay. Whoopsie. There goes our steel wool. So that's why I told the young man that you gotta use these little steel wool pads, man. Ugh. Alright, I gotta take that off for a second. Try to get you an angle. Now, so we got that all steel wooled up. I'll show you another tool I thoroughly enjoy is this scrub pad on a bulldozer. I don't know what it's technically called, but it's the bee's knees. Get down in behind that brake light. I went for years without having one of these. When I was hanging out with my boy Wagon, and he had one. I thought, man, I always wondered about these. You know, how much use are they? Brother, let me tell you, they are extremely helpful. Yeah, so now we'll take our bulldozer and get behind that brake light, all that good stuff. And So we'll go ahead and like to use some pressure, flush out anything I missed or pulled up with the towel. And this part's a little bit tricky because of that curve, trying to get the squeegee flat on the glass so that it can do its job. But just slow down, think about it, you'll get it. Last thing you want to do is leave a patch of dirty water hanging out to contaminate your install. Alright, that's about as low as we can go. Now what we'll do, come in here, shove that down, off to the side, and we'll use our bulldozer. We'll go ahead. Something that didn't make sense to me that that dude said was he had tried using 3 different shades on that car, on that Civic. I mean, did he think that one shade was going to be different than the other, or did he think that he had a bad roll? Okay. I don't know. Should have asked. Okay. One side. We're squeegeeing across the top here so that any dirt, dust, whatever that might be hanging out gets pushed into this rain channel and not into our film when we lift the adhesive. Same kind of deal on the sides. We want to make sure that liner is clean. And that's also why we missed it, so that any particulates hanging out in the air above it land on the liner instead of in our adhesive. And so now we'll just, and then of course squeegeeing the sides prevents anything from flushing in on the sides, or if you wind it up, when we go to roll this up, if it gets a little bit off or whatever, there's no trash hanging out over there for it. So I struggled with doing it like this when I first got the plotter. Now it's not too bad. When I first started, what I would do is I would trim this side of the liner off so that way I could more easily get my reverse roll started. But just like anything else, once you do it a few dozen times, you get pretty decent at it, I suppose. At least you should. Better anyway. So now I'm going to do something that's a little bit kind of controversial, whatever. You can do it however you want. On a deck lid, on back glass that's short like this, I know I'm gonna have a heck of a time getting the film on this glass and down in behind the brake light and everything, right? If I just try to stick the film directly on the glass. So here's what I'm gonna do. Rolled up about like so. We sprayed our bottom half just so that gravity would pull any trash down in there, and we did not spray the top half because we don't want any trash around the headliner getting sucked in. And this is probably the hardest part about this whole car, in my opinion. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and unroll this. We don't have to unroll it all, but we're gonna unroll a decent amount. Now we're just gonna kind of grab the edge of the film here. I don't know if you can see because, you know, GoPro's on my head, but we're gonna get this liner off. We're gonna try not to touch the glass, at least to this point, okay? Now I'm gonna slide my hand under here. What I wanna do is just get the bottom on the glass so I can slide it down behind the deck lid. And I want to get this up, but I don't want to get it up so high that it's gonna pop up and hit the headliner. Now you want to work quickly, but gently. Okay, so we got it to where it's pretty much sitting up on its own there. We can come over here, get that liner out of the way. The more I've found, the more that you try to fight with this film and try to wrestle it and manhandle it into place, the more problems you're gonna have. Just wanna, you know, like I said, you wanna get it on there, but you wanna do so in a manner that is not going to cause any creases, any pinches, handling marks, stuff like that. Okay, so now we're just gonna kind of slowly, I should say smoothly, get this on. And now this is kind of the hard part because your hands are wet, but you need to drop it down in below there. Now I like to go on this side, get that where it needs to go. Okay, I don't know if you can see, but we're just below the headliner. We got a little bit of a gap down there yet, so let's go ahead. Boom, boom. I don't know if you can see, but we got this side tucked in, but we still need to go down a little bit. And this thing, I'll tell you what. Okay. This is kind of one thing that's a little bit tricky about plotted patterns, especially on a car you've never done before. You don't know how much extra room you have, so you got to be pretty careful. Now, I don't know if you can see, but there's still light down there, and that means we need to go down. My hands are just sliding on the film. Let's see if I can't kind of tuck you over here. I don't know if you guys will stay. Maybe. All right, let me reach in here. There we go. Slide that down. Now we're a little bit low over here on this corner, so we pick it back up. This side looks good. So what we're going for is up in the corners. Just make sure we're kind of just barely covered in this particular case, and that will make sure that we are good to go on the bottom. Obviously not as much of a requirement if you can see, like if it's one that you can see the bottom. However, this is one that we can't. So what I'm going to try to do here is set you up on this towel. So that you can get the money shot. Now, about as good as I can get you for now. Well, at some point I lost you, but ta-da! Go ahead and put a little spray away on there. Let's clean this up a little bit. This isn't going to be our final clean, but just kind of give you an idea that I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. Just a little bit. Okay. So, I don't know if you can see, if we look right there, we have just the kind of the start of a peanut, if you will. It's not really, because if you look, it's not silver. Which just means it's moisture. So sometimes on these Camrys, because of that weird angle, you can really struggle to get a big squeegee to meet this angle perfectly. But if you have like an orange Fusion Turbo, you can really hug that corner. I imagine pretty much just about any 3-inch squeegee will work. And now if you look, we got all that moisture off the defrost line, we're good to go. So got a little bit of moisture down here, which is pretty common. We can hit it with the bulldozer one more time. I've never had a window, I shouldn't say never, I can't recall a time where I've had a window that I couldn't get done with the bulldozer, but this is a good time to show you. So I don't know if you could see that, but we did suck a little bit more moisture off this corner as well. I'll show you the value of having like a Titan or a side swipe, something like that. Let's look in here, because I'm right-handed. I could just get a better purchase and angle on the bulldozer so we don't have this moisture pocket like we do over here. And I hope this shows up on camera. You see these little ripples and all that stuff. So let's check this out. We also have a little bit of peanut action trying to happen there. So what we can do, let's move all this stuff out of the way. And we're going to do two things. First of all, we're going to address this stuff. It's a little bit higher up. You can just barely kind of see it in here now that the glass is clean. And we're just really going to focus maximum moisture extraction. Okay, now we're getting into that angle a little bit. So we're gonna come here with the side swipe, with a Titan, and we're gonna really push and run along those defrosters. Make sure you get the bottom too. And just for good measure, we'll go ahead and use our bulldozer. And we're gonna push the very, very bottom out. And now, she's ready. You can hit her with a little glass cleaner. Just gonna wipe this down for now. Just get her drips and streaks, anything like that. You're liable to have some condensation down there in the bottom. Don't worry about that. That will dry. But the important thing is that we come out here and look. Got it all perfect. No peanuts trying to happen. Nothing like that. So we're good to go. I'm gonna cut this here. And then probably switch batteries, and we'll start working on the roll-ups. I'll show you how to pull the sweeps and all that good stuff, and we'll finish out with the windshield and strip. So stick around. All right, all you cool cats and kittens. Perfect timing, because literally right after I kind of like, you know, signed off or whatever, the GoPro overheated and shut down. So it was literally perfect timing. So what we got to do here, we're not gonna take the door panel all the way off. We're gonna take this little guy here, and I like to just leave the door latch like mostly shut, so this little thing doesn't go flying, and literally boop, pop. You see, slide out. It's not directional, it just slides straight in, so that works perfect. And then I usually put the hardware right there, and one Phillips screw. Ta-da! And then what we'll do, it doesn't really much matter which side you start on. I like to take this tool and just kind of work it. You can go all the way back here if you want. There's a tab back here, and there's also a push tab down in here. So we'll just go ahead. There's a metal tab down in there. Let me see if we can. There we go. This metal tab here, if you do take the door panels all the way off, you got to make sure that this is not attached to the door panel so you can hook that back in. Otherwise, you'll never get this panel back on straight. Same as the 24s, the previous body style, whatever. Then we'll just come in here and pull your sweep out. Pay attention, it's got this little hooky bit. Let me see if I can go around to the front here and show you what I'm talking about. It's got this guy. This whole thing comes up and out. I don't really find it necessary to remove it for what we're doing, but this little push pin, you can actually pry that up and out, just don't lose it, and that holds this part together, if that makes sense. This part is basically attached to the door. This part is just for the window sweep. You can leave it in or you can pull it, doesn't matter. Process is pretty much the same on the front. Again, pop that little guy out. Phillips screw. And one exception is obviously this little trim piece here. And there we go. One little push tab, and then whatever you want to call that little thing. I like to set them up on the dash most of the time. Sometimes I'll set them on the seat, just depends. But I like to put them somewhere they're not going to get stepped on or damaged or anything like that. Same deal as the back. Let me show you where we're sliding this in. So here's our window sweep. We want to go underneath this plastic, in between the door panel and the sweep. Now this down here is a little bit more tricky because it kind of latches over, but not that big of a deal. We're just releasing the tabs. All right, supervisor came out. Anyway, where were we? Boom. I like to start at the front, You can pull it up, and usually I just go out this way. This is kind of what I was talking about. You can disconnect this thing, or you can just pull that rubber piece out, and really you can set that rubber piece down here like that if you want. Wouldn't leave it like that forever just so it doesn't get deformed, but you know, for half hour or whatever, not a big deal. Or like I said, you can just lift it, put it back into place. We still have plenty of clearance between our gasket and the glass, not a big deal. So now we got everything tore apart, let's go ahead and start laying some film. And put my drill down there. Hopefully we don't need this. If we wanted to remove the entire panel, let's say we're going to take the quarter windows out, whatever. I don't know for 100% sure, don't quote me, but the old body style, this window switch panel comes up and there's a Phillips screw right in here, and then this pops up out of there and there's a Phillips screw right there. So I'm going to guess, what are we beeping at? Window open, yeah, I know. I'm gonna guess typical Toyota fashion. It probably has the same thing, and we won't turn that off. We're turning off the automatic climate control. Grab me a couple towels. All right, let's party. Now, definitely, like, I don't know, this GoPro headband is like stretched out or something. Panel covers. You can, we're missing some tools. You can obviously put down your plastic covers like these. I find they don't really stick worth a crap, so I very rarely use them. These are not super sensitive door panels and materials, so I'm not going to stress myself out about them. Where did that little, guess where that little blue scrubby? Okay, it's still sticking up here. That's fine. I'm not super worried about them. Another thing that I do from time to time is I'll take one of these, basically just an old bath towel. And if you have a couple of them, this works out pretty good. But what we'll do, we'll just roll it in behind the door panel. Make sure you tuck it down into the metal bit, otherwise you run the risk of your film snagging it. As you can see, it's not super tight, which, you know, means you got to pay attention. Now you could also, if you wanted to get it away from the panel, you could stuff a, you know, microfiber down in there or whatever. I don't really care. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And it's looking good. You can see the slip solution's not beating up at all. It's just laying on the glass. That's what we like. That means there's no hydrophobic coating present. Okay, now I can reach up in here, bump our window up. You can never have a window that's too clean. I like to just lay my scrub pad there so I'm not sticking it down into my pouch. Lift up this bottom since we're peeling off the car. Okay. And if you want, go ahead and just give it another little mist. Boom, boom. I like to use the gator blade and get back behind the seal for two reasons. One, it helps loosen up the seal, but two, any crud or anything like that hanging out is going to get pushed out with any luck. This is a 25. It's got 116 miles on it or something like that, something stupid low. So you would not expect it to have too much stuff, especially I know this truck was purchased literally like as it was rolling off the trailer. But when they sit around on the lot, or they get driven or demoed, or you know, other stuff like that, you know, you can get junk in there. It just happens. So wipe down our top edge. You can see pretty much spotless. And We need our Platinum Easy Reach. This is my favorite corner tool. I have tri-edges. They seem like sometimes they're just too thick to get where I want them to go, but boom, I like to do that. And then I'm not gonna run it along the bottom because this towel's pretty much guaranteed the towels are gonna touch and yeah, all that good stuff. We'll try to pull them out. Give that a good flush, give that a good flush. Now it's time for our final squeegee. Now I did not shrink these windows, and I can't remember if you have to or not. But we'll find out together. Now I will take my tri-edge, poke that down as far as I can, and try to push anything out the bottom. Anything we dislodged, I want to push it out. Okay. Same deal like we did on our back glass, and same thing we'll do on our windshield. Mist the film so any kind of dust hanging out over top of it gets pushed away. Squeegee off the top edge so that way when I peel this liner, nothing comes running down in it. Just since this is hanging off the side, I just want to get it started. And that's why I go from the bottom to the top, so I can really wet that film without having to worry about stuff flushing down off that top edge. Get this, there we go. Now these, because they're pretty long, sometimes they can give you a little bit of fits, but if you get the angle right, they'll kind of hold themselves. I just got my very back bottom corner pinched in my finger gently. I just want to smooth that, get it on the glass, get it over. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but we want to get the back of our film in here. Keep that edge smooth if we can help it. Now the film is going to basically act like a squeegee of its own, and if you want, I don't really like doing that, but it's better than creasing the film trying to slide it. Slide that down. See how I got this tucked up? Because we're going to start meeting right there, so I want to just whoosh. Now it's just a matter of lining up our top edge. Typical plotter stuff. It's a little bit inconsistent. But let's double check. Stick our shank in there, make sure we're covered. Stick our shank in here, make sure we're covered. Now we got two choices. We can, and this is what we're gonna do, we could just leave it. We're passing the finger check, nothing's peeling back, but that gap's kind of like not good. And this customer's pretty good customer of mine, so we're going to go ahead and lift this up, and then we'll file this edge. This is nice and tight. Looks like we got to file a little bit right there, but I'm not going to blame the software on this one, just because as you saw with the windshield deal, I think the plotter is just having a little bit of issues today. I think it's the humidity and that tape, like I kind of explained earlier. Using, well, Saturday, because this is Monday, Saturday I used dish soap because I knew I was only going to be doing a set of front doors and a strip, and I was critically low in the keg. So I went ahead and I ran dish soap, which is fine, whatever. But today, the problem with dish soap is, yes, it's more slippery, but it stays slippery. So like when you go to anchor this film, it still stays slippery, which is not really that great. So with all type, you don't get as much initial slip, but then like it seems like once I get it on the glass, it slides around where I want it to, and that's great. But then once you give it a good hard pass, it seems to stick. And with the temperatures here are going down, like today I think the high is like 71 or 72 with rain, so it's not going to be overly hot. Though I'm sweating because I got the freaking door closed. I just figured doing this, it'll save me a lot of frustration because I'll be able to just mount it where I want, get my edge set, and then voila. So we need to get this top edge where we want it. Come in here and we're really gonna push up and out, get that moisture out, get that edge to set. We're probably gonna have some moisture run back into the film because we are over top of the bevel, because we're gonna file it. Just is what it is. So you can do two different things. You wanna be careful running a towel across it because you can pull it back down. But I wanna come in here and I just want to push up and out, make sure that top is set real nice, that top corner. Boom, okay. And kind of the same deal here. I want to make sure this top edge gets all the moisture out of it. Now it's time for our friend the torch. I like to just wipe this top edge off. See how I'm stopping before I get to this rubber and the plastic, and I'm keeping the heat moving? Like I can hold my hand on this anywhere. It's warm. It's not hot. Okay. Now I'm gonna give that a second. Just show you. It's warm. It's not hot. I can put my hand on it. No big deal. Come in here to the inside. It's pretty warm, again, not hot, and that's exactly what we want. So now what we want to do, I like to take my chiseler, wrap it up in a hard card, and I like to just push the moisture up out of this edge. That's going to get the film to stick. It's going to get the moisture out of there, and it'll help us out when it comes time to file. Sometimes you'll have a little hole. It's very important to make sure you get that chiseler covered because it will scratch. Now we got a lot of material down here, and that's okay, just is what it is. Now we're gonna have to get the rest of this window squeegeed out. You see we got a little finger right there. But we don't wanna roll this all the way up, otherwise it's just gonna peel our film. So reach up in here. And that's about all the farther I'm willing to go. And we'll just go ahead and I like to kind of go at an angle. Now, some people say, oh, you have to heat shrink because of the curve and this and that, and the adhesive won't hold it. In my experience, guys, the majority of times that you have to heat shrink a window, yeah, sometimes, especially on like Corvette, stuff that's clearly curved, it's because of the curve. But a lot of times, like on your, just like Civics and all that stuff, man, a lot of times it's because it's sucking moisture up when you're two-staging. If you take that seal out, you have nothing down there to hold moisture. Once you push, once you squeegee all the way out, look, there's nothing sticking up. There's nothing coming back. We didn't pre-shrink these at all. So we got our hard pass, our soft pass, all that good stuff. And when we heat up this top edge, we don't want to go messing with anything up in this next, you know, this top 2 inches, 3 inches, something like that. That's why it's important to make sure it's all nice and squeegeed out before we heat it. Because once you do, if you have moisture left behind, you're liable to hit dry spots and get glue smears, and it's not fun, especially when it's ceramic window tint. You know, your mistakes add up quickly. So, kind of the same deal as usual. And it's very important we don't hit this top edge and like roll our towel over top of it, because we don't want to snag it. All we're looking to do is just clean this bit up. Oh, one of my wife's hairs. Nice. We just want to clean this glass just to make sure that we don't have anything crazy going on. And we do not. So now what we want to do, let me grab a light. We want to look down in here and verify our edges are locked down. There's no little fingers getting sucked up. This film is good to go. Now, if you really wanted to, you could wrap your, you know, your hard card of choice or your tri-edge or whatever. I recommend doing it in a microfiber, but you need to be kind of careful. If you push too hard, you can snag the film and cause it to slide or bunch up, whatever. And then you're in trouble. I just like to kind of gently, I'm just getting rid of any moisture that's down, you know, hanging out down there. Now, what we want to do is do something like that. I think we'll be able to file that real nice. And then just while we're over here, I noticed there was like one spot that just wasn't quite laying down like I'd like it to. So just go ahead and just give it a good once over one more time. And let's head over to the back doors. Take our towel off of here. Look at that, no streaks, no drips. No dramas, mate. Make sure we don't smack our rolly chair with our door here. We'll just do the same thing. Tuck this old towel down in here. And it helps if you have a couple, because then you could pretty much only get, you know, one door per side, and then it's going to get wet and not do what it needs to do. So now if we want, we could go ahead and put those sweeps back in on this style. We can go ahead and drop those back in, push our door panel on, put our trim piece on, put the screw in, we're good to go. I'm gonna just wait. I just don't really feel like it's necessary at this current moment. And I know these are gonna be like the long format videos where I'll show you like pretty much everything start to finish, but I'm gonna show you this back door, I'll show you the quarter, and then I'll have to shut this off because it's gonna get hot and overheat again. So we'll do this one. Scrub a dub, reach up in here, find our switch. Now I like to reach around here and just lift up the bottom so the film doesn't get eaten when I bump it down. Kicks and giggles, we'll just go ahead and scrub this top edge one more time. And there's our gator blade. So the interesting thing to see will be how that front driver's door turns out, if we have to file it or not. Because if we have to file it as well, then that means there's a good chance that it's a little bit of a pattern issue rather than just a plotter issue. But it looked to me when I was weeding it, the passenger side looked better than the driver's side. So it's the importance of having your stuff dialed in, man. You can have the best software and the best machine, which I don't have the best machine, but if stuff's not dialed in, you know, you load your film all wonky, or your film's not rolled from the factory very well, like it's just not going to be as accurate as it potentially could be. Oh, did we lose power? Probably. Either that or it's telling us it's going to shut off power soon. Nice thing is, like, I was gonna like throw some detail spray on this when I got done with it, which is something I normally don't do, but I was like, yeah, we will, just to clean up our drips and stuff. That's relatively new. I don't like cleaning black cars just because if they have like dirt or anything, you know, it's really easy to scratch the paint, and like this car is literally brand new, so but it's gonna rain all day, so really no point. It's ceramic coated and all that, so it should just clean itself. That's what everybody says. Ceramic coating just makes itself clean. Oh, that would have been dangerous. Now on these back doors, I don't know, everybody says drop your big edge or your little edge in first, and that's fine. Main thing is you just want to make sure this stuff doesn't like pinch, but I like to get that on there where it'll hold itself. As you can see, I still have this edge held back away so it's not dragging on anything, and then you gotta just finesse it. Just finesse it. So I'll shift this here, get that laid in there, and I can lay this in here, and every car is going to be a little different. Seems like the smaller the window, the more difficult it is. But yeah, see, look at this pattern. This pattern's freaking Gucci. So I have a hard time believing that it's a pattern issue, a software issue. I'm going to guess it's my issue as far as that front edge needing file. But no big deal, man. That's just part of it. You can ship out crappy work, I guess, if you wanted to. Just leave that crazy gap and, you know, get made fun of by the next guy. But we're not going to do that here. So just go ahead, just like anything else. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but this film's already wanting to tack up, which is essentially what I want. Take our shank. I like to just make sure that we're covered on the edges. Sometimes you gotta finesse it one way or another, but looks like we're pretty solid here. So now I like to grab it, kind of hold it in place. This squeegee like needs sanded down again, so it'll slide a little bit better once I kind of grab the film and push it. So you got a moisture bubble there. But yeah, we're just gonna finesse this kind of right where we want it. And do our little finger check. Everything looks good. Go ahead and give her one more pass. Okay. Wipe all this down. Now, let's say you don't have a torch or you don't feel comfortable using a torch. You don't want to burn the glass or melt seals or anything like that. You can take your heat gun. It's just going to take longer. Same deal, keep the heat moving because we're not trying to shrink it, we're just trying to warm it up. This stupid headband. Alright, so same as we've done on our front doors. Go ahead. Push that down and out, and check us out. We're still moving a little bit, but not much. Oh, let's see. She dead. I bet it just shut off. Okay. Go ahead, turn it on. Key not detected, of course not. Accessory, power. Roll you up, little buddy. And go ahead and shut it off. Now we got a couple of fingers here. So let's see if we need to shrink them or if we can push them out. Just kind of like I did on the front. Start dragging them this way and see how we're not pushing the moisture all the way out so it creates a vacuum. That's what you don't want when you're two-staging, because it's, you know, obviously just inviting trash to come in, and that's not good. But we don't have really any trash down there to get sucked up, right? So, because we have no seal, we've cleaned it thoroughly, flushed it out, blah, blah, blah. So, now we're just gonna push all this moisture out. Now some people are gonna say, oh, you're just making the adhesive do things. This is still not like super set up, so it's not relying on the adhesive to hold it in place because it's not cured. It's not even tacked up. I mean, we had to heat the top. We're not heating the bottom, so we know it's not that. So, go ahead, clean this off, be real gentle along the bottom. All we did was ensure that we pushed all the moisture out. Where, like I said, if you're two-staging, your seals are gonna hold that moisture, especially if you fire hose the glass like I do. Now we got a little bit of dust on the glass from our linty little microfibers here. Look at it. This is freaking wild, dude. Like, why are you not? Oh, I see what's going on. It just doesn't want to. This little guy doesn't want to stay centered on my head. Okay. Anyway, that's our problem. But I don't know if you guys can see this. We have no fingers. We have no real contamination. I'm sure when we dry. When we start drying out more, we'll find, oh, look, there's one speck there. Okay. No big deal. Now let's move on to these quarters. I'll show you how I do them. A little bit different, but nothing really major. Spray it up in there. I'm not going to flood these windows as much as I would do like a side window. These seals do have drains in the bottom, but they take a while to actually drain out. It's kind of like we were just talking with our side windows. If we have a bunch of moisture in there, it's liable to get sucked up, and that's a problem when you have the seals in it. We did turn the car off, didn't we? Yeah, we did. It's just mad because the doors and the windows are open. That's okay. Okay, so boom. See how much we can shove that gator blade in there? We can get pretty good real estate. So what I do, a lot of times I'll pull these out. Some people will take like 18 gauge speaker wire, and they'll shove speaker wire in these gaskets to create space so they don't have to fight them. Some people will come in, and the first thing they'll do is they'll shove like tri-edges in the trouble spots, all that good stuff. Choose your own adventure. I don't like doing that. I think it's kind of tacky. I would be really mad if somebody like did that. Or some people will actually just cut the sweep out altogether, the seal, gasket, whatever you want to call it. They'll just cut that back altogether. So that way you don't have a light gap. Again, man, I'd be pretty mad if somebody hacked up my brand new car, and I don't care if it's just a Camry or if it's a freaking G-Wagon. I would be pretty upset about that. So without this door panel on here, you can see we have a lot of real estate. Like, we can really pull that gasket back, all that good stuff. I've already prepped this, so I'm done prepping that. I'm not gonna wet the film because I don't want to pull any trash out of this top. So what we're gonna do is we'll just go ahead and squeegee that off of there. We can peel it off the car. You can move it to the big window if you want, but what I did with these patterns, typically, in my opinion and experience, most of these quarter windows are done like to just barely cover, and sometimes like they're made to have a slight little gap just for the ease of install. So what we want to do, I know we're touching right here, but there's just only so much we can do here. That's where cleaning and soaking the film has some advantages. So what I do on the software, pretty much when I'm going to take a gamble like this, is I will go ahead and just right off the rip, before I even cut these, I will make them one click bigger wherever I feel like I can. And since we have quite a bit of room, I went one click bigger on the easy edit all the way around. So I don't know what that ends up being like numbers wise, but it gives me some extra real estate. So now it's just a matter of just kind of finagling this all in, getting it smooth on the glass, trying not to crease anything. You could definitely run a spray bottle of some like super slip, you know, just a little sprayer of like extra slip, but I hate doing that because, you know, you can't let slip solution sit for very long before it goes bad and gets chunky. So not ideal. And then, you know, sometimes you won't need these. Like, I might go weeks without needing super slippery slip solution. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of wasteful. Now, if you're high volume and you're doing stuff like this every day, or you know you're going to be doing 2 or 3 of them, you know, back to back, then okay, whatever. But, you know, it is an option, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It's just, in my opinion, I don't think it's the best one for me. So we still need to get the film back in this corner. So I'm just trying to create a little space. Okay. It's trying to start tacking on me is what it's trying to do. But I took the gamble on these because the software said that it's $5 a film for these 2 quarters. So I figured, you know what, it's worth taking the gamble on, see if we need to do it in the future or not. And if we end up having to recut them, it's $5. So a lot of times what you have, you're fighting this film, but a lot of times it's just trapped air. Look at that. So we're creating space, all that stuff coming down out of there. Now what I would love to do, it might have worked out for me. I want to get it just a millimeter. I don't even know if you can see that, but it's just barely not covered. So what I'm doing is I'm just gently, got my hand on it, I'm just gently pulling it up. Okay, now what we can do, and this just kind of depends on what, like how big the window is and stuff. A lot of times I won't use this, I'll just use the orange turbo, but if you have enough real estate and you can use the big handle, you might as well use the big handle. And of course we got to get our edges. This back corner or back edge or whatever you want to call it is pretty tight on this. So if we wanted to take these out, these windows out to do them, it's not very hard. It takes a few extra minutes, but what we would do, well, just a fly. What we would do is go ahead and, like I said kind of earlier, I'm betting money that there's a screw under here and a screw under this panel. So you pop this out, screw. Obviously that screw, pull the whole door panel off, seal the window sweep and everything. And then there would be probably 1 or 2 10mm bolts. The older body styles had like this plastic tray that clipped in, so you'd have to unclip a couple, and there's usually a bolt here. Like I said, there's a bolt here, 10mm, and then there's a screw up here in the top, which is probably going to be a Phillips screw. Remove that. I don't take the bottom bolt all the way out. Take this one out, loosen this one, obviously take the screw out. Window goes all the way down, and then this rod, this window channel, pull this gasket out, and that channel goes. All right, of course, GoPro had to overheat. Quarter window came out looking good. Got like 3 specks up there in the top, but no big deal. Looks real nice. We're gonna move along here. We're gonna file this edge. I figured I'd show you how to do it. So we've got the rest of the car done, other than the windshield, obviously. I wanna go ahead and file this because I wanna get my sweep put back in. And grab a chiseler here. And you already saw me post heat this. And now we're just gonna go ahead and take our chiseler with our chop towel wrapped around it, just to make sure it's pushed down. And then I think there was a little spot across the top here we needed to even out as well. And so what I like to do, I like to just kind of rinse off my file there. Whatever. We'll start back here. sure you probably can't even tell, but we just barely took a little bit of material off there. Down here is going to look much better. You'll see what we're talking about, how this works. What?
What are you doing?
I'm making a video.
Oh. I thought you were recording again.
I am.
Oh. It's recording and making a video.
Okay. Now you can see it gets a little bit tricky when you get down here. And so you can take the door panel all the way off, or you can, sometimes you just got to finagle the window, whatever way you got to do, you know. So we're just going to use little strokes. Ta-da! And then we'll just clean it up. Obviously, you want to be careful you're not stabbing the trim with the end of this file or anything crazy. You also got to watch this part. You don't want to drag that across the window, your freshly tinted window, because it will scratch the tint. Voila. So now you can run your finger over this. It's not going to peel. It's not going to catch. Nothing crazy. And it's good to go. So that's how you file a window. Gives you a much better look if you have to save it. You know what I mean? It's not all crazy. You can bump the whole thing up, honestly, and file the whole thing if you wanted to. I didn't want to do all that. So here we go. We're just going to clean this up just a little bit more. Alright guys, I hate to leave you hanging like I'm about to on this one, but once these GoPros get hot, they just overheat randomly. They have a hard time keeping the battery charged. So that's every window minus the windshield, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.